subscribers. Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Happiness Isn't Brain Surgery with Doc Snipes. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 reasons that therapy might fail and what to do about it. One of the first problems that people may run into is choosing a counselor with the wrong approach. The important thing is to figure out what you think is contributing to your issues. What I think, what the counselor down the hall thinks, may not be the same thing that you think is contributing to your issues. And ultimately, recovery and change is about focusing on what you think, if you have any idea about what is causing your issues. So let's talk about a few of the different theoretical approaches to counseling. Humanistic counselors, your Rogerian counselors, focus on unconditional positive regard and feelings. Basically, Rogers said that if we are given an environment that is open and loving and generally accepting of who we are, we can move through our blocks by just talking through them. This is a great approach if you are not super task oriented and you're willing to take the time to talk and work through the issues. It is not nearly as directive as some other approaches. Psychodynamic approaches largely focus on how your past impacts you in the present. So a psychodynamic therapist may look at relationships or events from your past and how they are impacting you in the present and creating or contributing to your current level of unhappiness. Family systems approaches, obviously the word family's in there, believes that a lot of your problems can stem from interactions and imbalances within the family system. And it's important to focus on how you interact with people, not only within your family, but we find that we take those patterns that we learn from within our family and we reuse them with people outside of our family. So by learning about our interaction styles and our family constructs, we can develop an idea of what might be causing our issues. And finally, cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on the fact that we have thoughts, we have behaviors, and we have feelings. That's the triad in cognitive behavioral therapy. And unpleasant thoughts, unhealthy thoughts, what they may call irrational thoughts, can contribute to feelings of unhappiness. Our behaviors are often a result of trying to escape from or protect ourselves from those perceived threats or unhappiness, which can contribute to mood problems. With cognitive behavioral, there's a lot of focus on changing the way we approach things, the way we think about things, and even some of our behaviors on a day-to-day basis, hence the behavioral, such as getting better sleep, improving our nutrition, and things like that. Now, solution-focused therapy comes up a lot, and solution-focused is not an approach per se in the way I envision it, but it is a way of addressing issues based on strengths and can be used with any theory. In humanistic, you're going to focus on people's strengths and what they want to accomplish, where they want to go, what the solution looks like. Psychodynamic, family systems, cognitive behavior, all of them. From a solution-focused perspective, we're going to say, how can we use these techniques to help people achieve their solution or resolution to the problem? When choosing a counselor, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask the person, If somebody presented to you with depression or trauma or whatever your issue is, how would you approach it? Or what is your theoretical approach to counseling? If they can't answer it, that's generally a problem. It's important that the two of you are on the same wavelength. There can be multiple therapists with multiple different approaches, and what works for you may not work for your best friend or your sister, and that's okay. That's why we have so many different approaches to counseling. The next issue that can cause you to have difficulty achieving your goals or achieving recovery in therapy is failing to address underlying physical issues. When we are stressed, when we are depressed, when we are feeling an unpleasant feeling, that is coming from somewhere. And a lot of our mental health issues and our mood symptoms can be contributed to by problems within our body, because all of those neurotransmitters, all of those hormones are made within our body. So if our body is not functioning well, then it's going to be hard for us to feel well. Stress system dysfunction. And you've heard me talk in other videos about the HPA axis. That's your stress system. And when it is over responsive, when you are on edge all the time, or when it is under responsive, then you may not feel your best. You may feel anxious or depressed. When you're not getting enough sleep or your circadian rhythms are out of whack, that is going to affect your cortisol levels. It's also going to affect your ability to concentrate, your energy levels, and your ability to remember things, your eating habits. All those things get mucked up when your circadian rhythms get out of whack or you're not getting quality sleep. Your body makes all of those hormones and brain chemicals from what you eat. So if you're eating crap, you're probably going to feel like crap. We need to make sure that people are eating reasonably well. I'm not saying you have to be a fanatic about it. Eat colorfully, eat healthfully, try to get a vegetable in there every once in a while. That's what I'm talking about, because a lot of your neurotransmitters are actually made in your gut. If you are stressed and your gut is upset, that is going to contribute or inhibit your body's ability to effectively make and balance some of those neurotransmitters. Hormones are another issue that can contribute to mood problems, depression, anxiety, apathy. And when I talk about hormones, I'm talking about two basic types, your thyroid hormones and your sex hormones. Both of them, thyroid hormones and sex hormones, affect the availability of your brain chemicals to feel happy, to feel energized, to feel motivated. As we get older, as things happen, we're not getting enough sleep, we're pregnant, whatever it is, our hormones can change. And this is true for men and women. And when your hormones change, it also changes the balance of the chemicals in your brain, which is why it's so important to make sure you're maintaining a healthy body to maintain a healthy mood. And finally, other biological issues. I'm just going to kind of throw the kitchen sink in there. It is always, always, always good to get a physical before or early on in treatment for any sort of mental health issue, because there are a lot of biological issues that can contribute to our mood symptoms, not the least of which are sleep apnea, diabetes, and diabetes, and hormone imbalances. All of those can be easily tested for and ruled out. They found that using a CPAP machine, if you've got obstructive sleep apnea, using a CPAP machine has shown marked improvement in people's mood as well as their ability to think clearly during the day. And finally, the third issue that may cause counseling to fail is expecting the therapist to fix you. That's not my job, nor can I do it. I cannot make you do anything that you don't want to do. I cannot fix you. I can give you tools. I can point you in the right direction. I can educate you about things, but ultimately, you're the one that has to decide whether you are going to make a change. Additionally, you're the expert on you. You have lived in your skin for 40 years or 24 years or however old you are. I've known you for 40 minutes. I cannot begin to guess all of the things that you've already tried that have not worked and all of the things that you've tried that actually have worked. For example, aromatherapy works really well for some people. Other people think it's hooey and don't even want to try it, or they've tried it and it really hasn't done much for them. Okay, that's fine. But it's important to know what's worked for you in the past, because that is the fastest way to start feeling better in the present, to work with what already works. Counselors, therapists, social workers, and psychologists are basically what I call the shop teachers of the brain. Remember back in school, maybe, when you used to have to take shop class? And you would go in there and there were all of these tools. There were big, electric tools, there were hand tools, and you were supposed to make something. And you really didn't know what to do with a lot of those tools. But once you learned, then the number of things that you could create were endless. We are the shop teachers. We as mental health professionals can teach you how to use particular coping skills and different strategies. And once you have all those in your toolbox, it's up to you to pull them out and use them. Your situation is a complex interaction of behaviors, feelings, and thoughts, and you have to do the work to actually change what is going on. I can educate you until doomsday about helpful and unhelpful thoughts and ways of changing your negative thinking, but unless you do it, unless you practice it, it's not going to happen. You can do it when you're in therapy. You can do it when you're in session for that 1 hour during the week. But if you don't practice it throughout the rest of the day and throughout the rest of the week, it's probably not going to have much of an impact. It's just like an athlete training for something. You don't have football players train for 1 hour one time a week and expect to go out on the football field and perform well. No, they train, they learn a specific play, they repeat that play over and over again in practice. Then the next day in practice, they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again until it becomes second nature. The same thing is true for coping skills and cognitive strategies and any other tool you may learn in counseling. In summary, don't be afraid to ask a therapist what approach they use to address your issue. When you are beginning counseling, it's always recommended to get a physical that includes hormone and thyroid panels in order to rule out any physiological issues that may need to be addressed in order to help you feel your best. For the brain to have the chemicals it needs and the hormones it needs to help you feel healthy, the body has to also be healthy, because a lot of those chemicals are made in your gut, and which means we need to give your body the right nutrients that it can break down to make those things, and then it has to have a healthy environment in which to make those chemicals. Practice good health behaviors: nutrition, sleep, sunlight, exercise. Can't say enough about how important those things are. And finally, think of therapy as a job. It will take energy and time every single day in order for you to make notable changes and achieve your goals. If you have topics that you'd like to learn about on the Happiness Isn't Brain Surgery podcast, message me at support@DocSnipes.com. Happiness Isn't Brain Surgery podcast can be found on any podcast player app, but if you prefer the videos, you can subscribe on YouTube by clicking the button below and click the little bell right next to that button to be notified when new videos are released, which will be every week from now on. Thank you.